They say reality TV is fake, but this feels like betrayal caught in 4K. What happens when your so-called friend turns into your public enemy on national television? When the cameras roll and the confessions hit harder than a season finale cliffhanger. Welcome to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13, where trust is currency and Rasheeda just declared bankruptcy on Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage. Yeah, you heard that right. Rasheeda is composed. Ms. Keep Dash It Dash Cute Dash or Dash Keep Dash It Dash Mute Dash just lit a fuse so messy. Even Mona Scott probably needed a Xanax, so now we're asking the real questions. Did Rasheeda expose the real cracks in Yandy and Mendeecees' relationship? Or is this just Love and Hip Hop's biggest PR stunt disguised as a truth bomb? And why now? After all these years of side eyes and Sunday brunches, what made Rasheeda throw that classy southern smile to the wind and come for their necks with no warning? Oh baby, the silence wasn't just awkward, it was lethal. Buckle up, because we're about to dig into a scandal so deep, not even a VH1 reunion special can clean this one up. And trust, it gets messier than a love triangle at a strip club. Now let's rewind this chaos and lay it out, piece by piece. Because this didn't come out of nowhere. For years, Yandy and Mendeecees have been branded as the gold standard of love and hip-hop couples. Through prison bids, family struggles, and scandal after scandal, they somehow held the title of the But just when the dust seemed to settle, here comes Rasheeda, the same Rasheeda who's been quietly sipping her tea for over a decade, deciding it's finally her moment to spill the entire kettle. And baby, it wasn't chamomile, it was boiling. All it took was one line in the Season 13 trailer, and the entire internet erupted like it was Super Bowl Sunday for drama. A slight lean forward, a subtle glance, and then boom. Well, I just think if folks gone pretend they perfect, they should at least be honest behind closed doors. The room went silent. Yandy's face dropped. Mendeecees blinked like he just got hit by a verbal truck. And fans, they paused, rewound, and rewatched that clip like it was the Zapruder film. Because that wasn't shade. That was a heatwave in the middle of brunch. And what made it worse? Nobody stopped her. Not a single cast member interrupted. Not even a cough to break the silence. It was like the whole room knew what was coming, but nobody had the nerve to stop it. Now here's where it gets grimy. See, Rasheeda didn't just throw out some harmless opinion. No, she hinted loudly that there's been something going on in Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage that's been hidden from the cameras. And the way she said it, like she'd been holding it in for years, waiting for the right moment to detonate the bomb. And she chose national television as the battlefield. Imagine being blindsided, not by a hater, not by a troll, but by someone you've broken bread with, someone who sat at your baby shower, posted you on birthdays, called you sis. That's why this hit differently. This wasn't just gossip. It was surgical betrayal. And if you think Yandy didn't feel that knife twist, just look at her body language in the trailer. Her eyes flickered for half a second, her jaw tightened, and she barely managed to keep her voice from shaking when she muttered, "So that's how we doing it now?" That one sentence, soft, almost a whisper, carried more weight than a screaming match ever could. The internet went feral. TikTok detectives started dissecting old episodes, Instagram captions, interview clips from years ago. Suddenly everyone was a relationship analyst, a betrayal expert, a Rasheeda decoder. And while the audience couldn't agree on what exactly Rasheeda knew, they all agreed on one thing: she knew something. Because that confidence, that wasn't a guess. That was a woman who'd seen receipts. Or at least acted like she had. Some fans think Rasheeda's words hinted at infidelity. Others believe it's about financial drama. But the loudest theory, that another woman's involved. Maybe not recently. Maybe not even physically. But emotionally. Spiritually. That's the kind of betrayal reality TV thrives on. And Mendeecees' silence in the trailer. Deafening. The man who once defended Yandy with fire, who stood 10 toes down for his marriage through jail time and chaos, suddenly had nothing to say, not a word. Just an awkward blink, a look down, and a whole lot of tension. Yandy, for her part, kept it composed. She didn't throw a drink. She didn't scream. But that's exactly why it felt real. The silence. The stillness. That's what fans noticed. Because when Yandy's quiet, that's when you know it's serious. And just like that, a friendship over a decade old cracked in half. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Yandy and Mendeecees were in the middle of launching a mentoring program for Black couples. They were literally posting inspirational quotes about trust and growth while Rasheeda was throwing grenades on national TV. The irony. Practically radioactive. And what about the rest of the cast? Oh, they didn't stay silent for long. Spice, who's never missed a chance to light a fire under someone's wig, dropped a confessional that made fans rewind 3 times. Some people been sitting on secrets like loaded weapons, and now they pulling the trigger. Boom. And with that, the storyline transformed from shade to warfare. Because this wasn't just an attack on Yandy and Mendeecees, this was a shift in the show's ecosystem. If Rasheeda could come for Yandy, anybody could be next. That was the energy. No one felt safe. Producers leaned into it hard. The music, the editing, even the lighting changed. Everything got darker. Every group scene was filled with awkward tension, side eyes, fake smiles, and more secrets than a group chat during a breakup. Fans started picking sides. Team Yandy, Team Rasheeda, Team they both fake. The forums were on fire. YouTubers had 3-hour live streams dissecting it all. One even claimed to have screenshots proving that Rasheeda had been planning this for months. Allegedly, she had kept tabs, watched interviews, even screenshotted Instagram comments from anonymous burner accounts. True or not, the internet ran with it. Because let's be honest, this wasn't just TV anymore. This was a full-blown digital war. And the wildest part, Rasheeda wasn't backing down. In her next confessional, she said, "I ain't say nothing that wasn't already being whispered. I just stopped pretending." That line, iconic or messy, depending on who you ask. But either way, it was fuel to the fire. Because what does whispered even mean in this context? Who was whispering? And about what? The vagueness made it worse. People filled in the blanks themselves. And that's when the real damage started. The real damage didn't come from what Rasheeda said, but from what she didn't say. The implications, the silence, the way her lips curved into that almost smirk when the conversation shifted. That was enough to detonate 10,000 theories, overnight. And the way Yandy responded afterward only made the situation murkier. She didn't go on a rant, didn't do a single messy live, but fans noticed something more telling. She unfollowed Rasheeda. And in love and hip-hop language, that's practically a ceasefire turning into full-blown war. Then came the leaks. Mysterious DMs started circulating in the blogosphere. Alleged screenshots of Rasheeda texting a producer about exposing that perfect couple surfaced. The timestamps were blurry. The sender names conveniently cropped out. But the blogs didn't care. They ran it. Headlines blared, "Was it all staged? Rasheeda caught plotting against Yandy months before premiere." Of course, no one could prove the screenshots were real, but at this point, facts were optional. The narrative had taken on a life of its own. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. "She bitter," wrote one Yandy fan. "Nah, Yandy been fake perfect for too long," clapped back another. And right in the middle of this explosion, Mendeecees finally broke his silence. But instead of defending himself or clapping back at Rasheeda, he took a completely different route. A quiet, emotional solo scene, aired not background music. No flash, just him sitting in his backyard with his kids playing in the distance. "This ain't just TV," he said, voice low. "This is my real life. My kid's gone, see this?" That moment changed everything. Suddenly, the audience saw him not as the potential villain, but as a man caught in the crossfire of a drama he never asked for. Some fans said he looked tired, others said he looked guilty. But either way, he looked human. And that made the attacks against him start to backfire. Viewers began asking the question no one had thought of before. What if Rasheeda wasn't exposing truth, but exploiting pain? And that, right there, flipped the script. Yandy took the cue and made her first big public appearance since the drama panel talk for women's empowerment. Cameras captured her in all white, poised and soft-spoken, but her message cut like a knife. "Don't let anybody's version of your life define your reality," she said. "Speak your truth, but protect your peace." The crowd erupted. That clip went viral. It was reposted by celebrities, therapists, influencers. Suddenly, Yandy wasn't the embattled wife. She was a symbol, a phoenix rising from the mess. But guess what? Just when people thought things might settle down, Bam Love and Hip Hop dropped the mid-season trailer. And who appears out of nowhere? A brand new cast member. Not just any newbie, but someone who allegedly had a past connection with Mendeecees. The producers didn't even try to be subtle. She walks into the scene, Rasheeda raises an eyebrow, and the voiceover says, "Some truths won't stay buried forever." Cue chaos. Fans exploded. "Who is she?" Trended on Twitter. Reddit lit up with theories. She was at that charity gala in 2019, one user claimed. That's the same woman Yandy once threw shade at on Instagram. Whether it was true, didn't even matter anymore. The mystery woman's presence was enough to shift the energy once again. Now it wasn't just Yandy versus Rasheeda. It was Yandy versus the ghosts of Mendeecees' past. In the next episode teaser, this new woman is seen sitting across from Rasheeda at a rooftop bar, saying, "I could say a lot, but I'm not trying to ruin nobody's family." Excuse me. That line alone was enough to set social media on fire. That wasn't a warning. That was a loaded gun left on the table. And Rasheeda, she just sipped her drink like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Meanwhile, Kirk, bless his non-confrontational soul, tried to stay out of it, but the fans dragged him in anyway. Funny how Rasheeda got so much to say about other marriages when hers barely survived a side baby, someone tweeted. The hypocrisy accusations flew fast. Old clips resurfaced. The irony was weaponized. And while all this was boiling online, behind the scenes, things were unraveling. A leaked crew clip hit the blogs where a producer can be heard saying, "This ain't the storyline we planned." Boom. Confirmation that this wasn't even supposed to go this far. The story had outgrown the script, and with emotions running high, trust among the cast shattered like glass. People started filming their confessionals separately. Schedules were adjusted. Conflict resolution mediators were reportedly brought in. At this point, it wasn't just reality TV. It was emotional warfare. Even Spice, who had managed to sidestep the drama for most of the season, finally broke her silence during a brunch scene. The problem with this group, she said, is everybody want to be right instead of being real? Mic drop. The table went quiet. Not a peep. Even Rasheeda didn't interrupt. But just when it felt like someone had injected some maturity into the mix, a voice whispered across the table, "Well, being real got Yandy dragged, didn't it?" And boom, peace shattered again. The air went cold. Faces froze. You could see the fatigue in their eyes. Cast members weren't just performing anymore. They were surviving. Each scene felt heavier, each word more loaded, because now, every smile could be fake. Every hug could be a setup, and every castmate could be next. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any heavier, the final episodes took things to a whole new level. As filming wrapped and the cast prepared for the big premiere screening, everyone knew the tension would be off the charts, but no one expected the sheer ice that greeted the red carpet. Yandy arrived first, dressed in an all-white angelic-looking gown, hair slicked, face calm. But her eyes told a different story. Composed, yes, but you could tell she was on edge. Alone. No Mendeecees on her arm. No smile that reached her eyes. Then Rasheeda rolled up nearly 40 minutes late. Arm in arm with Kirk like she was walking into a Fashion Week event and not the fallout zone of a nuclear friendship. They didn't speak. Not a glance, not a nod. The photographers caught it all, two women on the same carpet, sharing the same spotlight, but living in two entirely different galaxies, and fans watching the live stream. Oh, they noticed. Comments flooded in like wildfire. Why does this feel like a funeral? That tension is thick. They look like enemies pretending to be co-workers. But it wasn't all in their heads, the coldness was real. The betrayal had calcified into something permanent. No apology, no reconciliation, just polite avoidance soaked in history. And then came the trailer. Oh, the trailer. The producers didn't hold back. One final teaser dropped showing all the key scenes. The mystery woman smirking in a confessional. Rasheeda looking straight into the camera and saying, "Sometimes you gotta burn it all down to see who's really left." And finally, Yandy, walking away from the camera in slow motion, voiceover saying, "I've survived worse. This ain't the end of my story. It's just the end of this chapter." Fans went absolutely feral. Some screamed iconic. Others begged, "Please, let her come back next season." But many noticed what was missing Mendeecees. Aside from that emotional backyard scene, he'd gone completely radio silent. No interviews, no after-show appearances, not even a single clapback. His absence was louder than words. Some interpreted it as guilt, others as exhaustion, and a few even claimed it was strategy, letting Yandy carry the narrative while he focused on family. But then boom, he posted a photo. Him and the kids at the park. Caption, one word, peace. That's it. That's all. But the comments were anything but peaceful. You hiding behind your kids now? Where's that same energy? From the show, we want answers, not selfies. And it became crystal clear, this wasn't just a storyline anymore. It was a public trial. in the courtroom of likes, retweets, and reposts. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was out here trying to act like nothing happened. Business as usual. Lip gloss launches, fashion promos, brand collab, but fans weren't buying it. "Oh, now you're quiet." One follower commented, "You had all that smoke for Yandy but no energy when Jasmine walked back in the room." Yeah, you read that right. Jasmine, the same Jasmine who nearly wrecked Rasheeda's marriage once upon a time with Kirk's cheating scandal. She popped up again in the finale teaser. Just a few seconds. No lines. Just a slow pan of her entering a room, locking eyes with Rasheeda. And baby, that was enough to send Twitter into meltdown. Rasheeda starting drama because she knew Jasmine was coming back. One tweet read, she deflecting. Classic misdirection, said another. Suddenly, the narrative flipped again. Maybe Rasheeda hadn't been exposing Mendeecees and Yandy for justice. Maybe she was just trying to get ahead of her own storyline. Protect her brand before someone else exposed her cracks. And that theory, it landed hard. Fans started pulling receipts. Old interviews, Instagram lives, TikToks from years ago. Everything was up for review now. Every smile Rasheeda ever gave Yandy questioned. Every kind word, scrutinized. Because, once trust breaks on reality TV, it doesn't just crack, it explodes. And you know who else wasn't staying quiet? Mama D. Oh yes, the queen of cryptic Instagram quotes decided to throw her crown in the ring. "Loyalty don't mean a thing if it's conditional," she posted. No names, no context. But come on, we knew. Fans ran with it. Memes were made. Tweets went viral. Some said she was siding with Yandy. Others thought it was aimed at producers. Either way, it added fuel to an already raging inferno. And by this point, the cast was walking on eggshells. Filming had turned into a minefield. One insider said the production team had to bring in actual conflict resolution professionals to keep things civil. Some cast members refused to film together. Others demanded separate confessionals. And the ones who had nothing to do with the original drama, like Carly Red, started catching strays just for being neutral. "You were friends with Yandy. Why didn't you defend her?" fans demanded. Even Scrappy got dragged into it. He hugged Yandy at a charity event, and suddenly, he was being praised as the moral compass of the season. "If Scrappy hugging you on camera, you know you in the right," one fan joked. But that just highlighted the new dynamic. Lines had been drawn. Team Yandy, Team Rasheeda, and not much room left in between. Reddit threads started analyzing every clip frame by frame. Sideys, smirks, the way someone sipped their wine, everything became evidence in the court of public opinion. But through it all, one thing became clear: this wasn't just TV anymore. This was personal. For Yandy, for Rasheeda, for every castmate dragged into the crossfire. And for the viewers watching, this was more than drama. It was a reflection of what happens when loyalty gets tested, when silence becomes a weapon, and when friendships fall apart under the spotlight. As the final episode aired, fans were left not with resolution but with questions. Can this ever be fixed? Will Yandy and Rasheeda ever speak again? Or has the damage gone too deep? We may never get answers, and maybe that's the most real part of it all. Because in this season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the truth didn't come in confessionals, it came in silence. In glances, in what was left unsaid. And baby, that spoke volumes. If you made it this far, then woo, you already know this season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta just gave us a masterclass in betrayal, loyalty, and the true cost of spilling secrets. But don't think for a second this is where it ends. Oh no, the fallout is just beginning. What do you think? Did Rasheeda go too far? Was Yandy unfairly targeted? Or is this just karma catching up to everybody who's been living behind filtered confessionals and fake brunch smiles? We want to hear your take. Drop your comments below, because trust, this drama is way bigger than just one episode. And if you're here for more raw truth, messy breakdowns, and tea so hot it'll fog your screen, don't just sit there, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single twist. Because the next exposo, it's coming. And you know we don't sugarcoat nothing. So tell a friend, grab some popcorn, and stay locked right here. Because in a world where even reality TV can't handle the truth, we're the ones dragging it straight to the light. Let's keep this conversation going. Because baby, this is just the beginning. ***.